Our first speaker today is going to be Amy Anderson from Our Lady Queen of Angels Housing Alliance.
Good afternoon. Oh yeah, that sounds great. Hi, I'm Amy Anderson. I joined Queen of Angels Housing as its inaugural executive director in February of this year. I come to this work from a career in affordable housing, including real estate development, housing finance, and housing policy. I think in part I share that because my presentation is very much like a Hauser's presentation, so forgive me. And there are questions, I'm trying to save time at the end for questions in case I use acronyms and things like that. I'm really excited to be a part of this new initiative, Queen of Angels Housing. Really, I see this organization as an amazing opportunity to expand the supply of affordable homes in Los Angeles. So Los Angeles, California as a whole is suffering from an extremely painful affordability crisis. There is a wide gap between individuals, households' incomes and the cost of housing. There are over 1 million renter households in LA County that are cost burdened, meaning they pay more than 30% of their monthly income towards housing costs. That's actually nearly 1 in every 3 households in LA County. 77% of extremely low-income households pay more than half of their incomes towards costs. The average asking rent in Los Angeles is $2,500. And assuming a 40-hour work week and a single worker household, that means the need to be earning $48 an hour, which clearly most low-income households are not, in order to afford that rent. And as many people, sadly, are all too aware, there are more than 75,000 people in LA County that are living without a permanent home, experiencing homelessness. Technical difficulty here, hold on. So these are statistics, right? But behind the statistics, there are real people experiencing this crisis. And it's being experienced more profoundly and more disproportionately by low-income households. Clearly, when you're not making a lot of money and you're spending a third or half of your income to pay for your housing costs, it means less money available for other essential needs like food and school supplies and transportation and health care, which is leading to all sorts of other types of crises beyond the housing crisis around health, physical health, and mental health. Our Lady Queen of Angels Housing Alliance was created in response to this crisis. We are a new, independent, nonprofit housing development organization. Visionary business, civic, and philanthropic leaders came together with the Archdiocese of Los Angeles to found the organization last year in 2023. Given the depth and the breadth of our crisis, our founders were moved to take action and to found an organization to build more homes that are affordable for individuals and families in Los Angeles. Our goal is to work in collaboration with both the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, but other Catholic organizations and institutions to identify opportunities to transform underutilized properties into housing for affordable homes for people in need. We also hope to serve as a go-to resource to help the Archdiocese to contribute tangible housing solutions to the crisis in Los Angeles. And I want to pause and recognize a couple of those visionary founders, Carol Rowe and Joe Womack, who's making a face from Specialty Family Foundation. But I think it's important, right? They are the visionary leaders that made this happen, and Specialty Family Foundation is also providing startup funding for the organization. We've embarked on our first project, which is called Willowbrook. Among the groups that are most impacted by the region's housing affordability crisis are different youth populations. Studies indicate that at least 30% and as many as 50% of youth that exit the foster care system experience homelessness within 2 years of that transition. The high monthly rents that I just talked about clearly contribute to the housing precarity of this population. But in addition, for many foster care youth, the trauma of growing up in foster care can contribute to mental and behavioral health challenges that also undermine housing stability. In addition to foster youth, community college students also are confronting challenges around finding stable and affordable places to live. 1 in 5 community college students in California reported experiencing homelessness in the 2018-2019 academic year. We anticipate that that number has just worsened, given that housing costs since COVID have only gone up in Los Angeles. So Willowbrook is a development that we are designing to respond to the needs of both of these populations. Willowbrook is a half-acre site that is located directly across from and nearly on the campus of Los Angeles City College, which is a community college. So LA City College, you can kind of see the green. It's just like towards me from where the arrow is. The property is owned by the Archdiocese. It's currently occupied by a small 2-story building and a parking lot. It is leased to Catholic Charities of Los Angeles, where that organization provides educational classes to youth. This site was identified by the Archbishop's Advisory Committee on Housing as our initial project. That advisory committee looked at a small pool, maybe 5 properties that were underutilized, and identified this for our first project, which I'm extremely appreciative of. That when I started with the organization in February, there was already a site, like our pipeline had already been initiated, which is a great way to join a housing development organization, is with a pipeline. The Archdiocese generously has agreed to donate the property to Queen of Angels Housing. There was a lot of discussion this morning around working with parishes, working with Catholic communities around discernment. I think one reason this site was attractive as our initial development is that it is an isolated site that doesn't have a relationship with a parish, so that need to define a collective vision wasn't as central. As a housing developer, I'm also really excited about this site. In addition to being located across the street from an educational institution, it's also near to important amenities and services like grocery stores and hospitals and pharmacies, and a little bit uniquely to Los Angeles, but it's getting better, is that it's walking distance to some great transportation options as well, the train system, the bus system, and a bike path system. So here is a rendering of Willowbrook. It's proposed as a 6-story, 74-unit, 95-bedroom affordable housing development. It will offer youth exiting the foster care system an affordable and stable place to live in combination with on-site wraparound supportive services. Specifically, we'll be setting aside 20% of the units, so 14 units, for the former foster youth. Those folks will be paying rents of about $400 to $500. So market asking rent, $2,500. We'll be charging them about $400 to $500. And then, as I mentioned, the rest of the building will be designed to serve low and moderate income students, ideally who are attending LA City College across the way. The building will include a roof deck, a courtyard, community rooms, study lounges, places for residents to connect, to study, to relax, and ideally to build community. We have designed the building to be a mix of studio, 1-bedroom, and 2-bedroom apartments. This combination of units really is to recognize that community college students and former foster youth may be parents, right? So we'll need some 1-bedrooms and 2-bedrooms in order for them to, have their children living with them. The 2-bedroom units are also, they're being designed as 2-bedroom, 2-bath units in order to facilitate 2 friends living together and sharing an apartment, really as a way to further lower their cost of housing. So, we're excited about this development as being a way to provide affordable places to live, more stable housing for former foster youth, but also really want to take advantage of that adjacency to the City College. We're hoping that this development will help, support academic achievement and increase graduation rates as well. So there are a number of innovations to how we are approaching this project. Our goal is to finance the capital cost of the project entirely with private funds. So that's innovation number 1. One way that we're seeking to do that is through that mixing of populations, which means also a mixing of target incomes. So to help subsidize those extremely low rents that we have identified for the former foster youth, the remainder of the units are going to be affordable, but at rates that are slightly higher than, let's say, a traditional tax credit development. So more in the 70% of area median income or 80% of area median income. I think it is important to recognize, though, that the innovation around maybe the programmatic innovation around mixing these populations as well. We had a conversation last week with staff from LA County Department of Children and Family Services, who oversees the foster care system, just bringing them up to speed on our development. And they were so excited about this idea that former foster youth would be living with college students as inspiration, right, to encourage them to consider college as a real possibility, especially since there are a number of community college students who are former foster youth. So great, great programmatic benefits to that mixing of populations as well. Okay, this gets a little complicated, so try and stay with me as I get confused myself. Another innovation is that we're going to work on trying to leverage rent subsidy programs that are targeted specifically for transition age youth. So there are a basket of rent subsidies in LA County that are available to this population. What's interesting and painful is that these subsidies are not fully utilized, despite the great need, the depth of need, because a service provider that has access to these rent subsidies needs to go out into the marketplace and find a landlord that is willing to rent to a former foster youth and is willing to accept the rental subsidy. And in California, that's actually illegal, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. So it's hard to actually, there's money there, but not all the money is actually getting used. So our plan is to master lease those 14 units to a service provider. The benefit to them is that will help them to utilize their contract of rent subsidies, because they'll have a pool of units available to them where they can, place their clients. The benefit to us is that rent subsidy amount is based on the market. So, our plan is to charge rents of $400 to $500, but the rent subsidy amount is closer to $1,300, $1,400, $1,500. Our goal is to use that additional revenue, go to a philanthropic foundation that is interested in supporting this population, that is interested in systems change, and say, there's a little uncertainty here, but how about some philanthropic debt? How about some flexible, low-cost debt to test out this new approach for helping to finance new units to serve transition-age youth. Affordable housing development incentives. City of Los Angeles, California, over the past 5 to 7 years have adopted a number of zoning-related laws that are designed to incentivize the development of affordable housing. Most well-known is a state law that was adopted last year called SB 4. We are not actually using that because there are so many different options we can use. We're using the state density bonus. For us, we need to restrict 80% of our units at 80% area median income. But that has allowed us to double the allowable density on the site, get us to that 74 units, and has eliminated, in part because of the adjacency to transportation options, eliminated the need to actually build any parking. At the moment, we are planning to build parking, but you don't have to. So where are we? We're pulling together our planning entitlement application. That should be submitted by the end of this month. That should get approved with any luck in January, maybe February of this year, and then we'll jump in all in terms of hiring the architect, the engineers, the consultants to develop the construction drawings, with the goal of starting construction in the fall. So that's the big picture where we are. The littler picture where we are, like, what do we need to do to actually get there? Certainly financing, especially given that we're trying to privately finance, is a big priority effort at the moment. We've just kicked off our capital campaign, which is, the goal is to raise about $15.7 million, which is half of the total development costs for the project. That includes both philanthropic grants and the philanthropic debt that I was mentioning. Great news is that we did hear just last week that a foundation in Los Angeles has committed $4 million to that effort, so that's very exciting to us. Adjacent priority is pre-development financing, kicking off those construction drawings. It's going to cost us about $3 million, $2.5 million to get to, building permit and a set of construction drawings. So we need to, we're working on different strategies to at least pull together financing that's going to allow us to keep moving forward on the project. Part of that $4 million commitment, thankfully, they have designated for pre-development. Outreach is another important step that we're still working on. We've had a lot of good conversations with elected officials and government officials. They're very supportive of the project. Next step will be working with neighborhood groups. We're hoping to, engage some of our existing partnerships to help us with outreach to neighborhood groups. And then we're trying to have conversations with youth organizations, youth groups, especially with representation of folks with lived experience. We want to make sure that the way that we're designing the building, thinking about operations, thinking about service provision is something that is going to be effective based on their own experiences. And then partnerships. And then I'm going to wrap. There's all sorts of partnerships, but I just wanted to highlight that LA Community College is a great partner. They're super excited about this project. They're gonna help us in providing referrals to all the units at the development, including the transition age youth units, as well as the community college, for the community college units. And our service provider. We've been having great conversations with a service provider. Note to self, it's there's like the service provider and then there's the leadership of the service provider. Recent change to the leadership at the organization that we have been talking to. So I think that's the good thing there is that it's opened up the opportunity for us to maybe have some conversation with other service providers to make sure that the whole subsidy approach, leveraging of the rent subsidies is gonna work. So I'm super hopeful that I'll be back next year and be able to, relay to you that we're on the verge of starting construction. So thank you.